Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video. We'll be having a look at how the VTOL is actually flying after having done the setup that I showed you in the previous video. Now, for the intro of this video, I'd like to just show you a couple of clips from the first and second Maiden. The first Maiden was actually super successful, and the plane transitioned between the different flight modes very easily, and nothing funny happened. That video is showing right now. Everything went fine. I landed, although I was kind of shitting myself, but it worked out fine. I landed and then took off again. Nothing changed, none of the settings. As soon as I hit the switch to transition from vertical takeoff mode into fixed wing mode, the plane decided to go all crazy on me, and, well, let's just say it wasn't great. That video should be playing right about now, and you'll see everything goes smoothly up to the point where suddenly the plane decides to do a flip. And, well, you can see what happened after that. Thankfully, I didn't crash it. I was also relying on the view of the gimbal, which was in horizon mode, and that meant that the gimbal was trying to keep the horizon level while the plane was pointed in a completely different direction. And on top of everything, I had my goggles on, meaning I had no clue what was going on. So if you do a Maiden, take my advice and don't just take off with your goggles on. Try to actually do the transition mode and all that stuff with the plane within line of sight. Because what might end up happening is you might end up losing your plane. Make sure that you have sufficient altitude. In my case, I think I had like 60 meters, which ideally would have been sufficient and more than sufficient. And yeah, just do it slowly. Take your time. Make sure you've got plenty of time to react. And whatever you do, if you have enough altitude, you can just quickly transition into plane mode or fixed wing mode, and then dive the plane, gain a little bit of airspeed, and hopefully that should be good. Also, don't use a gimbal like I did on your Maiden. Don't incorporate every single bit of technology that you have at your disposal for the first flight. It's probably not a good idea. Now, we are ready for the third, fourth, whatever flight of the T2 Cruza VTOL. And as you can probably hear, it's a little bit windy, and I'm sorry for the bad microphone quality, but I'm using my wireless earbuds to record this because I don't have anybody that can record me, and I don't have a microphone because they're expensive. So we are in vertical takeoff mode. We can see that in the switch. So my VTOL switch should be pointing up, which means that the switch is down, which means that the plane is ready to take off in vertical mode. That might be because I screwed up the firmware when I built it and I switched the direction of the arrows. Anyway, I'll be taking off now. So from this point onwards, you should see the plane. There we go. So we've taken off, and it's not that windy. The plane is slightly drifting, but as you can see, yaw is much better. It's much more controllable. When I yaw the plane left to right, it's actually quite stable. If we give it something like 40, 50 meters, something like that, we can slowly do the transition. Give it a bit of airspeed and transition to forward flight. And there we go. That was beautiful. I'm just noticing that the weather is horrible. Well, it was horrible all day, but I'm noticing that the camera is a bit foggy. Let's see if it's just fog or if it's my camera going crazy. There we go. I mean, look, this is it's a really nice plane, right? Let's have a look. Let's turn around and see what's happening. Now I did change my patch antennas. Okay, so I think that was just fog. As you can see, there's a bunch of fog in the city, and there's also a bunch of fog elsewhere. And these are very, very directional patch antennas, which is great for flying long range, but it's not great when you're turning in all directions and stuff. So probably I'll be changing these antennas because I'm not too happy. Um, these are the Maple Wireless, by the way, for anyone that is interested. These are Maple Wireless something. They're not the Mjolnirs, but they have this similar. This, I think it's the same patch antenna, just divided slightly differently. Anyway, should have superior functionality to the true RC ones because these are 11 dBi, although that is a little bit questionable at this moment. So, one of the things I'd like to test is return to home. Okay, now it's saying diverting to safe home. I have no idea why. That's probably because I did set up a safe home. In either case, my safe home is not too far from where I am. And what I'd like to do is to see what's going to happen when it reaches the safe home position. So you can see the home position is somewhere here. I can take it out of return to home. Okay, loitering around safe home. Okay, that's fine. So let's see. Let's take the plane down again. It was a nice flight. What I would like to see, actually, is not the plane going to safe home. What I'd like to see is the plane landing and switching, transitioning into the normal mode. But one of the things that I need to do is to check if everything is good. And so far, so good. I mean, you can see this is a nice plane. It's quite heavy, actually, with the motors. It's much faster in the glide. And most likely, it does have a much higher um, stall speed. So I'm not going to push that. I don't want to find out what will happen if it stalls. But what I do like to do is transition into the mid mode. So you can see the VTOL switches in the mid position. So we're in like a short takeoff and landing mode. Now I'll transition into VTOL mode. And we're still in acro though, just keep that in mind. And let's see what happens if we hit the return to home. Okay, kind of struggling. I don't know why it's crabbing towards its home. Let's look at the plane. Plane is moving very slowly, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. Except for the fact that my battery is getting a bit low. But let's just give it a second. My safe home is kind of preparing to land. Okay, hovering. Right, there we go. All right, that wasn't great. I mean, I've got to check what's going on here because in reality, this shouldn't have happened. Um, I think the plane should have gone to its home position and should have landed because that's exactly the settings that I set up, that it should transition. But maybe I'm wrong. Let's check PIDs. Pids are good. I'm not going to do pid tuning at this point. Pids are okay. That is what I have set up. All right. Um, hmm. That will be something to check. I mean, look, it flies nice, right? Like, it's okay. It's not too bad. Cruising power consumption is about 10 amps, which is okay. I mean, it's not great, but it's not too bad either. Can probably cruise at a slower throttle value, at a lower throttle value, sorry. Hmm. I mean, that's not too bad. Look, it flies nice. When we do the transition, it's important to just do it slowly. So when you flick into transition mode, the plane is still flying, and it's still flying as if it were a plane. Uh, just a plane with very, very... And now we are in drone mode. So technically, we can slow it right down and come in for a landing. Doesn't help that the wind is blowing it a bit. And actually flying it in acro mode, kind of like it better. And I'm noticing that I'm completely facing the wrong way. That's okay. Let's just see if we can do an orbit. Ooh, that's a bit difficult. Yeah, because the wind is blowing, it's kind of taking it all over the place. That feels a lot better. And there we go. We are back in business. Let's take it up a bit into these clouds. I hope they're not rain clouds. They're very low. They are super low. It's just right, flying right through them. And because this plane is so massive, I mean, it doesn't care about clouds or no clouds. It's just going through it like they're not even there. Let's have a look. Yep, that's a nice little cloud. Oh, actually, maybe it's not that little. Hmm. Should we put it into vertical takeoff and landing mode and then just slowly fly through this cloud? I'm really tempted. Don't know if it's a good idea though. Hmm. Maybe another time. Oh, signal's getting a bit bad. Yeah, these antennas are super directional. Like, I have to literally look at the plane to find out if my signal is actually bad or worse. But yeah, there we go. Some beautiful cloud shots. I think that will be the cover of the video. Oh, let's just angle that a bit better. Yeah, and the plane is really fast. Like with these 10-inch props, it's super fast. The cruising speed on the standard one is far lower at the same throttle position. So that's just something to keep in mind. I think we are right above ourselves. Ah, that just makes for a beautiful title cover. Look at this. That's amazing. I mean, this is why we love the hobby, don't we? And we can reduce the throttle all the way. Beautiful, beautiful shots. I don't know if I want to give the raw footage or the stabilized footage after this. Because it's super nice. Oh, we did get into some turbulence there. Obviously, this cloud is rising. And look at that. Come on. Don't you think that's amazing? I mean, this one little cloud is so much fun to fly. It's beautiful. Probably said beautiful like 20 different times now. Anyway, let's see what kind of a climb rate we can achieve with this. Ooh, that's impressive. 14 meters per second. Yeah, but 30 amps current draw. All right. I mean, look, if you want to, let's have a quick discussion about VTOL or non-VTOL. All right. The VTOL is very good. Okay. It's probably one of the best planes I've had so far. It's a very solid plane. It flies amazing. It's very maneuverable. And since it's a VTOL, you can actually take off from anywhere and have a great time. All right. So there are some very, very clear benefits to flying a VTOL craft. Um, I think that probably VTOLs are our future in this hobby because we won't have that many places to land and take off from in the future. And having something like this just really makes life easier for us as pilots. But I can see that chasing this cloud has brought me quite a bit further than what I was expecting to be, and that's why I'm pointed at the wrong direction. So let's just fly back around the cloud. And you see the current consumption isn't that bad actually. I mean, the other plane, the standard one, is more or less around the same. It's about 10 amps cruising, 20 amps climbing. This one, because it's got the 10-inch props and just bigger in every way, heavier, that's why it just needs a little bit more power for takeoffs and for landings. So you will be sacrificing a few minutes. And with this particular battery, when I slightly overcharge it, so it's around 5,500 milliamps when charged, the flight time that I get is almost 1 hour, which is amazing when you think about it. Um, it's a really, really decent flight time. And here we are in the fog. Can almost not see anything. Um, Yeah, that's really thick fog. I didn't go through a cloud. That's just fog. I can barely see anything. Okay, let's just bring that in for a vertical landing. So just like before, I'm just going to slow it down a bit. Transition, fly one more circle. And actually, you could also do a short takeoff with this, because right now, with it being fully stabilized, you can really slow it down and just fly on prop power. That's very solid. It's got excellent yaw, and that was the transition into vertical mode. Oh, almost stalled. The vertical accuracy is actually quite good now because I've got the rangefinder on there, so I know exactly where my plane is. And I want to try something. I want to put it into position hold mode. So you can see it's in position hold mode. And I just want to have a look at the PIDs for a moment. So these are the PIDs, the standard PIDs that we are having. And I think I can improve how it's behaving just by tuning those PIDs, but I think I'm going to do that in another video. I don't think I'm going to do it in this particular one. But at least the vertical accuracy is something that I can be very happy about because I do have that rangefinder, and with the rangefinder, it just makes life so much easier. Like, look, you stop the sticks and it just stops. It's amazing. I mean, this is what INAV does, right? Okay, now 1 meter. Yeah, that should be correct. Yeah. So now the rangefinder is definitely picking up the altitude, and you can see me there. Yeah, I'm happy with that. All right, so let's switch that. Let's have a look at the plane. That is an excellent flying plane. And what I'm going to do, it's bouncing a little bit. So I can literally just go around it and it's staying perfectly stable in position hold mode. Should we disturb it a bit? See what happens? What if I go underneath? Let's disturb it a little bit. My battery is dying, but there we go, position hold. And that's pretty good. I mean, what more do you want, That's pretty good. It's pretty solid.